All right, welcome to the Quarantine Check. And my guest today has been doing comedy for quite a while. He was the 2009 funniest person in Grand Rapids, which I believe you won your second year in comedy.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yep.
You've toured all over the country. You have an album called, I should have done my research a little
You're
bit beforehand,
fine. His name is my name too.
which you can
I forget.
which you can find on Spotify, Apple Music, pretty much everywhere. It's really funny. Please
Yes, sir.
welcome the very funny Adam Degi to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. This is it's nice to talk to somebody other than my wife or my dog.
Yeah, it's nice for me. It's nice to talk to somebody other than my cat. We've actually never met before. I have seen you perform, but at least I don't
Okay.
think we've ever met.
I don't think so, but I mean, you know, I'm sure I went through stages where I was drinking more than I should have, and it's very possible we did. I don't remember, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I have seen you at Ridley's or the Ann Arbor Showcases, one of the two places.
Nice. Okay.
I think you're very funny. So let's start at the beginning. What made you want to start doing comedy?
For me, it was probably the old cliche. I was the class clown. I was actually, you remember how yearbooks had like they'd vote for like most likely to this and that bullshit. I was actually me and a girl were voted like most class comedian basically, or most likely to be a comedian or something. I don't know, something very stupid, but I was always kind of the guy who's a smart ass. I certainly wasn't a fighter. I still haven't ever been in a fight to this day because I'd probably get my ass kicked, and I'm okay with admitting that. So I was always the guy that was kind of in the corner making jokes, and definitely used humor to get out of a lot of sticky situations, and just as a defense mechanism for being a weakling and never the strongest guy. So started in high school, I guess, is the simplest answer.
So when was the first time you actually went up, and what kind of mic was it?
I think technically the first time I performed stand-up was at a talent show. It might have been in junior high.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I remember it was in like a school gymnasium, and you had people doing everything that you think of. Most of these people didn't have talent, including myself at the time. I mean, it wasn't a developed thing. Nobody knew what they were doing. I was certainly the only one who I think did stand up. Actually, I take that back. There was another kid named Spencer who did stand up who I wish would have pursued comedy because he was super funny. He was a Native American kid and super talented, funny guy. But I mostly just did jokes about my mom throwing shoes at me and things that I mean, obviously I couldn't use profanity or talk about sex. Not that I would have known what I was talking about then, but I'm sure it was pretty juvenile humor. And then I can remember I sang a song with a friend who played the guitar for me about Orange Crush. It was somehow using Orange Crush to talk about a crush I had on a girl. It was really corny, really silly, and probably not very funny. But at the time, it was funny to me. But that must have been the first time I was actually on stage doing stand-up. And then later, in the early 2000s, after graduating, maybe 2005, I actually worked at the Bob in Grand Rapids where Dr. Grimm's The Comedy Club is. And I think I got a job there knowing the club was there in hopes that I would eventually get on stage. And then I think I did an open mic a few times after work. And at the time, I remember the house MC had to beg people to get on stage. There wasn't enough open micers in town, and I would sometimes still have my like chef jacket on. I wasn't a cook, but I worked in the kitchen. You had to wear that. and I would get on stage like right after I got out of work, and that's kind of how I got my start actually doing mics.
That actually sounds amazing, being at a mic where there aren't enough people to go up.
It's unheard of now, because I mean the Dr. Grin's open mic specifically, you know, when we can actually go places, is booked like months in advance. I think Garrett Elzinga, the house MC, does it that way. Stu McAllister for years was the house MC, and he kind of did it the same way. I think they tried to do like a show up, go up for a while, but it was just too many comics and a shit show. So they do it again now, like most mics, where they just have, you know, 4 or 5 guys on a night, and like I said, 2 or 3 months is booked at a time. But the unique thing about Dr. Grin's open mic, which I don't think is the norm, is they actually do their open mic on Thursday night, the night before an actual show, with a, you know, house MC feature headliner. So it's less comics getting less time. They're only doing 3 to 5 minutes, I believe. It might just be 3 every comic, as opposed to, you know, more time, 8 or 10. But you do actually get to perform in front of an actual audience. It makes you feel like more of a comic, because you're there for a real show. People are already there, and that's, you know, some of my best memories in comedy were doing that open mic, meeting people afterwards. Friends I have to this day, I met after open mics at Dr. Grin's, and it was awesome, man. It was the golden era for me.
That sounds like the club that I really got my start at back in Kansas City, Stanford and Sons.
Oh, nice.
And they had their open mic on Thursday. The headliner would be there, and he would do a short set, and there would
awesome. So I always heard good things about that club, and I actually, maybe a year ago or over a year, I headlined the club that opened in that same space. It was called, like, God, the guy who owned it named it, but I don't know if the Stanford and Sons was above this location, but it was in a strip mall.
So when I moved to Kansas City, Stanford and Sons ended up being in 3 places. One was in a strip mall in Overland Park.
Yep, that's exactly where I performed, but the new club under the new name.
Clint's Comedy Club now.
There you go. Clint's, Clint's Comedy Club or Clint's Comedy Shop, or I don't know, but it was next to like an Indian restaurant, very small space, and man, I drove, you know, the drive is 12 hours or something.
12 hours with no traffic.
Yeah, and I just remember the money wasn't very good, and the attendance wasn't very good. And you know, the booker that actually booked it had mostly featured me, so it was kind of an opportunity for me to headline for this specific booker. And I hope that, you know, in the future I could use that to my advantage as a crutch to, you know, get into headline more of his rooms. But in hindsight, probably wasn't worth the trip. Although I had fun, and I met a comic that I worked with, and the scene seemed cool. But it was technically in Kansas then.
Yeah, still
not Missouri. Yeah.
Kansas City, Missouri, Overland Park, and then like Independence is all considered one area.
Right, it's all right there, man. And I tell you what, dude. Speaking of like being rich enough to live in East Grand Rapids here, some of the homes in Overland Park, I don't know what the money is from in that town. I was asking some locals about it, and they said it's like some of the richest neighborhoods in the country, I guess, but some of the houses were ridiculous, like gated communities only.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
I had friends who lived in the poor section of Overland.
Yeah, which was probably, you know, middle class, but compared to those other places,
yeah,
man,
there was a lot of wealth in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the comic you worked with over there?
Man, I'm so bad with names, but I remember I went and I saw the last Hellboy with him. He was a huge comic guy. Actually, this kid, his main hobby was he collected Legos. He had all the Legos. I'm like, oh man, I could find him on Facebook. I'm so bad with names. Super nice dude. He hosted, and then they had an older gentleman feature at least one of the nights who was like a former lawyer.
Oh my God, that's John Loss.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, John
Yeah.
is actually my lawyer.
Oh, awesome. I remember he was super, super nice, a really nice guy. And he did at least one of the nights, and we only had, there were supposed to be 2 shows a night, and I think we did 1 show a night. And I'm telling you, man, the show time was 8:00, and both nights we probably started 8:15, 8:30, hoping that more people would come. And the whole weekend, there legitimately was a total of probably 30 people. It was, I don't know if that place is still in business, but I would be shocked if it is.
As of right now, it still is.
How? There's no way he's profiting.
From what I hear, the rent that he has is so minimal that he's able to.
Because after, I mean, I'll just tell you, I don't care. I've never been like ashamed of saying how much money I make or don't make, but I think I got $500 for the weekend. And I think right after that, the guy who was booking it, with the owner, they kind of parted ways, because I think the owner was saying, I'm only gonna pay guys so much because I can't afford to pay him what I've been paying him because of the turnout, which I understand. But obviously he's probably only, I'm assuming, able to book guys within a few hours away, because there's no way anybody's driving 8, 10, 12 hours to make, half as much as I made. And then there's nobody there, so you're not selling merch. He puts you up in like a comedy condo, which is actually the house he lives in, and it was fine. I don't need luxury. I'm not that guy either. But yeah, it was. I'm shocked that place is still open.
I'm shocked a lot of the places down there are still open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, comedy, and we'll see how many of the like quote unquote B and C rooms go under because of the coronavirus, which is sad. But I mean, a lot of these places were kind of headed towards, probably going under before, so it certainly didn't help. But live comedy in general, for the funny bones and improvs of the world, in the Midwest at least, has, I think, been tough for a while.
I think it depends on the kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
And I run a few rooms, and I think one of the benefits, my shows are free, but we've been packing people in for right before
Nice.
a couple of shows before, everything went dark. But I think there is a select audience out there who just want to come see a good comedy show.
100%. And I think a silver lining in this whole shit show may be that the people that at least come out following will be the actual avid comedy fans who just want to see a comedy show, and they actually enjoy stand up and they get it. But who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be a while before I think shows are happening.
At the earliest, I've had shows canceled. I had in July and August, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't think that we're going to have live comedy until the fall at the earliest. And even then, it's probably going to be like limited capacity, and there's going to be a lot of people who are still hesitant to go out in public. And I mean, live events, sporting events, concerts, and things of that nature that have bigger venues than comedy clubs. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I just want to get on stage,
I do too. I've been doing a lot of virtual mics, and it's nowhere near the same thing.
No, it's at least good to, just let the words come out of your mouth, and it's better than just writing and rehearsing by yourself, weirdly. But you get, some of the muscle memory is there, and it's sort of the same. But I mean, not even 5% the same of what being on stage in front of an audience at a venue is.
Yeah, because the energy isn't there.
Yeah, no, the atmosphere and energy is totally not there.
But one thing I am liking about the virtual mics is the thing I love most about festivals was meeting comics from all over the country and world.
Oh yeah.
So when things start stabilizing, I can go, hey, we liked each other on our shows. I'm coming in and you can put me up. And
yeah, 100%. It's super cool. If you're ever in Grand Rapids, man, you're more than welcome to crash at my place. It's nice to be able to, network. And I think that's a big reason comics love like a festival like Laugh Fest, especially if you're like a touring headliner. I mean, I headline most of the stuff I do, but I still will feature for a comic here and there, and I get to at least work with those guys. But the like Mark Normans of the world, or these quote unquote credit comics, they never see their friends because 50 weeks a year they're on the road, and they may bring their own feature who's a buddy, but like if you're a headliner, you don't see other headliners. So a festival, it is cool to be able to see other comics, and even if you're not a nationally touring headliner, I mean, I'm not, it is still cool to see and network with other comics that maybe you wouldn't normally do. And I think that Zoom and the coronavirus has been an opportunity for a lot of people to catch up, not just comics, but I mean, I've talked to friends from high school I hadn't talked to in a decade and a half. So that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, same thing. Like the guy who I used to buy records from, we reconnected.
Awesome.
And it's like, man, we both barely have grown up since then.
Yeah. It's always good to know you're not the only one who's not an adult yet, I think most comics.
You have to be immature to be a comic.
Oh, 100%. And, as much as I still have growing up to do, I mean, trust me, my wife gives me shit about it every day because I'm still a child in a lot of ways. I don't wanna. I don't know. I don't never want to be a full adult. I mean, it's nice to be able to pay your bills and things of that nature. But I'm never going to take myself too seriously or be that guy who lacks a sense of humor and is just a miserable mess every day. I'm never going to be that
guy. I have a friend like that, and he's a complete and utter bastard.
Yeah, I can't, and it's just a personality thing. You can't get it in somebody's head. Everybody's different, I guess, but I just don't, and I think I'm at the point, especially now doing comedy for almost 15 years, that my brain is just wired in a way where everything that happens throughout a day, if it's significant, whether it's a positive or negative thing, in my brain, I'm thinking, how can I make this funny? Cancer. I do a lot of cancer material now. My old man passed from cancer. I have done jokes about him, and for me, it's the only way, really. I can't imagine going through life any other way. My brain is wired like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Whenever something happens, I'm like, can this become a bit?
Yeah.
And it's to the point where some of my civilian friends are like, are you trying to force something out of this? I'm like, maybe.
It's probably a detriment to like developing in other areas, and becoming, I mean, it could still be a good person, but I'm probably not capable of doing a lot of other things because of the way my brain works,
I'm on the same page. So let's go back a little bit. When did you start going from open micer to road comic?
I bet it was at least 4 years in, because in the beginning, I didn't even have a car. I think I moved to Grand Rapids. I actually grew up in the Muskegon area. And I had like 2 cars break down. I didn't have a car for a while. So I was, having buddies drag me around. Stu McAllister in the beginning, God bless him. He was kind of my chauffeur, and it helped that he was doing comedy too, obviously. But I didn't even have a car for, at least 2 years. So even if I had the opportunity to do road work, I couldn't have got there. So I think it was like year 4 or 5. And at the time, there was a lot more opportunities to host. I think now in 2020, there's more opportunities to get on stage in general, whether it's open mics or showcase type shows, but there's not really a lot of opportunities to host anymore and get that very beginning level, experience that you need, I think, because so many places have house MCs, or they don't want to have a MC because they had a few bad, situations where somebody said something offensive or wasn't funny, and then the venue was like, we don't want MCs anymore, but they don't realize it's a very important thing as far as development as a comic. You've got to get through that first MC level in order to, blossom and become better. So I'm grateful that there was more opportunities to host when I was doing it back in, 06, 07.
How would you describe the Grand Rapids scene?
The Grand Rapids scene, I think it comes and goes, just like any other scene. And Grand Rapids is a big enough city that I think we have open mics Monday through Friday and then Sunday as well. Well, no, there's not an open mic on Friday because it'd be competition with grins and nobody wants to do mics on Friday. But so Monday through Thursday and then Sunday. So we got plenty of stage time. The comics, there's at least 2 or 3, if not 4 or 5 guys that I think are on their way to becoming working road comics. And then you've got the guys who it's more of a hobby to them, but they're still funny and worthy of getting on stage regularly. And I think the comedy festival that is in town for the past decade, Laugh Fest, has certainly helped. I don't know that it holds the same weight as like a Just for Laughs or anything like that, obviously. And it's not really a festival that's set up to favor, comics that aren't big names, because it's just for charity. But I think Grand Rapids has an okay comedy scene. I mean, I feel like there's other comedy scenes in Michigan that are probably better overall as far as the quality of comics and just venues and people giving a shit. But there's certainly worse scenes.
There are. I have been to some cities that have had terrible scenes. My interaction up there has been limited. I've just done the Sunday Night Funnies a few times.
Okay. Yeah.
First time was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, that room is, the old room. There used to be a room on the other side of town in the bar area of a hotel. And I mean, in its heyday, it was every Sunday was packed. And we're talking like 100, 150 people. That room sat a lot of people. And it was almost fool's gold. It was too good of an audience for an open mic. And I mean, he had access to some free hotel rooms that he would even put guys up for free if they came out of town, which is unheard of for the booker to put you in a room for free for an open mic. It's just crazy. So that'll never happen again. It was just a perfect situation. And we'd all, hang out in the room, fill the tub up with ice and booze, and hang out afterwards back when we were all young, and we could still do that kind of thing. So SNF is still good. It's not quite the same. I think it's getting back to where it was. More and more people are showing up. The venue that they do the show out of now, it is good. I think Brian V, cares more than anybody else. He's going to put the time and effort in to make it as good as it can be. And then it's also beneficial that we do actually have a comedy club. I love the Lansing scene. I mean, I'm envious of their scene. All those guys are super funny, and I think it's great. But unfortunately for them, they don't have a comedy club because they've all gone under. So it is cool to still have a comedy club in your city to just go watch shows or have a mic. They also do Funniest Person in Grand Rapids that lasts seems like 6 months out of the year, which is really cool for the local comedy scene. So having a club is great, especially a credit room like Grins, where they're bringing in big name comics every month, and you get to see those people for the first time live. So
Yeah, that I've heard nothing but good things about Dr. Grins, and
it's great, man. It's the
I
management is super cool, and Garrett obviously is great. He's the house MC, and the staff is usually pretty cool. It's not, I will say, it's not really like a very good hangout club because they don't really have space. I mean, they don't even have an official green room. It's kind of like one of the offices on your way back to the GM's office that's kind of occupied by a bunch of people for other things going on in the building. But you can go downstairs afterwards. I mean, if you listen to this and you haven't been to Dr. Grin's, it's in a building called the Bob, which is a first floor of a few bars, a basement that's also a bar and a brewery, a second floor that is like a venue for live music, and a bar. They actually have live music on the first floor now too. And then there's a nightclub above the floor Dr. Grin's is on. That's like, you know, fist pumping techno music, which I wouldn't step foot in on my last day on earth. The Bob used to be kind of like a broy bar. It was a lot of 20-some-year-old kind of bros, and it was a little douchey. They're kind of catering to an older clientele now. It's getting better, but it's still a place. It's like a tourist spot where people come from out of town and they're like, where should I go? And people are like, go to the Bob, it's fun. But I wouldn't step foot in there if it wasn't for the comedy club. But because it is in that building with everything else going on, I think the comedy club benefits from it because people know, hey, I can have dinner downstairs, then go to a show, and then go to the nightclub afterwards, and they all kind of feed off each other as far as business, which is cool. But you can't really hang out on the floor of the club because there's no place to go. There's not like a comics lounge or a sidebar. So you kind of have to just go downstairs afterwards and mingle maybe outside of the club a little bit to say hi to the comics afterwards, and then they kick you out. But other than that, I mean, it's my home club. I'm biased. It's always going to be my favorite club because that's where I started. But
as I said, I've heard nothing but good things about it. And before all this went down, I was hoping to try to get on the open mic there or get an audition spot, but we'll see what happens when things go.
I'll get you on, man. I'll threaten Garrett.
Cool. I like that.
Hey, listen, put Rob on, you son of a bitch. He'll make it happen. Let's
Awesome.
just hope that it's before, next summer.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Real quick, several weeks ago, or God, right when the quarantine started, you posted something on Facebook for a group called Michiganders Against the Acceptance.
Oh boy.
I think you introduced that to every comic who went on there and tried stirring some shit.
Yeah.
I thought you created that page as just a parody, and then I started reading it, and it became one of the scariest things.
Oh my God. So when I posted that video, I think it was the day or the day after that group was created, and like people on Facebook hadn't caught wind of it, let alone, the news, local news. And I mean, they were doing stories on the guy who started it, this he's like a chiropractor who started the thing, which I didn't realize how shady chiropractors were until this whole thing started. There's been like 2 or 3 chiropractors around the country that are like very anti-science, which is crazy to me. But he started it, and then quickly there was like 100K members, then 150K, and then last I looked, I think it was over 400. Now, how many of those people are real and how much of it is bots and, accounts created just to make it look bigger, I don't know. But that video somehow started to spread like wildfire that I made, and had like, 2,000 shares and over like 30,000 views. And a lot of people liked it and shared it, but then I was getting like messages that were essentially threats from people that were really upset with me because I kind of made fun of it. And in the beginning, it was worse than it is now. I'm sure there is a lot of people that are anti-quarantine for good reason. They are worried they're going to lose their business, or worried they're going to pay their bills because they can't collect and they didn't get a stimulus check or whatever reason. but there's a good amount of people on there. I'm willing to bet more than not that are just upset that they don't have their first world privileges and they can't go to the barber or, go to their second home, which was a thing for a while. So it's crazy, man, but there's a lot of people that think that way.
What I love about these people is they say they have no freedom, yet they're protesting.
Yeah, but you're protesting, and these are the same people who are upset with a football player for peacefully kneeling because innocent black people were being murdered essentially by the police. But that's not okay, even though you're not potentially harming others, which is exactly what you're doing by protesting in a group during a national pandemic because of a virus. You're potentially getting other people sick, and then people who weren't at the protest will be in contact with you in the future and they'll get sick. And do I want the quarantine to end? Of course. I think everybody wants it to end. I'm hurting financially as well. Like, my wife and I are both not making nearly the money we were before, which wasn't a lot. And I've got medical bills, thousands of dollars of medical bills coming in the mail every day, piling up. So I'm hurting just like everybody else is, but I also understand that sometimes you need to put other people before you and not be selfish. And like I said, most of the shit that people are complaining about, whether it's a right or not, it's still a privilege to be able to go to the barber shop or go to the bar or go to the ballpark or doing whatever you're doing, especially in the summer. If you have a boat, you made it. Good for you. But it's definitely opened my eyes to how many selfish people that there is,
There are a lot of them. But real quick, I like to fuck with people quite a bit.
Oh, hell yeah.
And because right now I don't have an audience to do that, I've been going on to Craigslist and writing fake misconnection ads. And
oh boy.
I read this one on yesterday's show, and I had to tell Bart Dangus afterwards that this is fake. But I'm going to read you the post, and then I'm going to read you the responses that were sent to me.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. So this one just simply says, "Hail Satan." Last night I had a vision that Donald Trump is the true heir to the Dark One's throne and is setting the stage for the ultimate battle of good versus evil. And as the sacred tomes read, evil will prevail. So I'm declaring my loyalty to the demon seed known as Trump. I hope you will too. Some of you think Trump was chosen by God. Wrong. Here's the proof. 80,000 people and counting have died from the so-called coronavirus. Unemployment is at record highs. Suicide rates are up. The economy is at an all-time low. Relationships with other countries have never been worse. Millions have been kicked off food stamps, and suffering is at an all-time high. This is proof that Trump is loyal and working for Satan. To make sure he succeeds in his mission, Trump needs our help. I'm organizing a Zoom prayer circle to make sure the child of the Dark Lord can succeed. So join me to declare your loyalty to Trump and Satan. I didn't think I would get any responses. And I'm just going to
amazing.
The best 5 that I got. And I'm going to say there's a reason I think these people are very anti-quarantine and very pro-Trump, because they are the low educated.
Of course.
Okay, so this guy, Jeff Schmitz, if that's his real name, wrote, "You are a stupid piece of shit, communist bastard traitor. You time is coming."
Man, he made a lot of assumptions there.
He did.
I mean, it's...
bastard, which he could be right about. But so this one's from John Williams, who I hope is not the John Williams who recorded the theme for Star Wars.
Yeah.
You need to look at all the facts. This country is going down because of the Democrats. We need to put God back in this country, which President Trump is trying to do. And if he...
I love why are these people still blaming on the Democrats when they're not even in office? Like, are they so powerful, not even in the White House, that they can still make everything terrible? Like, what? And there's here's another thing, and I saw somebody else bring up this point, which was incredible. There's all these people who honestly believe like the Clintons have had all these people killed and got away with it, and have this, you know, child sex ring. And they're powerful enough to do all these murders and have this, you know, child pedophilia ring and get away with it, but she wasn't powerful enough to win the election.
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. Now, I'm Jewish, and according to some people, I am a member of the global elite.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for them to send me the invitation to our meetings so I can start making some decisions.
Yeah, right. I love, yeah.
But
Yeah. Let me know so you can invite me.
I will.
Well, anyway, let's hear the rest.
All right, this one is, all right, let me go back to that one. It says one more. It's going down because the Democrats, we put God back in the country, which President Trump is trying to do. And if he don't exceed our doing that, this country will be destroyed by God. You need to read the facts and read the Bible. There's your answers. But that's not even the best one.
Man, you really got under some skin, huh?
Yep. Harley L. wrote, "What a bum ass you are. It's the Democrats that fucked everything up. Unemployment at its all-time low before this shit. Economy was at its best. What a idiot you are. It the dumbass like you. The virus is man-made by the Democrats. Wake the fuck up."
I will go ahead and say that anybody that uses a political party pun, whether it's Democrats or libtards, and the same could be said for the other side. If anybody's making up any dumb names for the Republicans, I don't think your opinion should count.
Nope.
You're an idiot.
No. But what I can't stand is he thinks the virus is man-made.
It's just like, to benefit who?
It's killing everybody.
Everybody keeps, especially in Michigan, they're, you know, shitting on Governor Whitmer and saying that she's got a power trip and she's doing all this for her. For what? To benefit how? To get death threats? There's people outside the Capitol building with fucking sticks with dolls hanging on them saying that that's the governor being hanged. That's what she wants? No, she's trying to save people's lives. Why would it doesn't make any sense to me that what is the overall goal that they're saying the Democrats have for doing this? Is it in line with how Bill Gates made this virus so he can put fucking microchips in everybody and there's some evil plot involving him? Like, it's just the shit they come up with is so ridiculous, man. Like, look, we started the virus, or the fact that the virus is somehow a ploy to make sure Trump doesn't win in 2020. A worldwide pandemic to make sure that Trump isn't reelected, so thousands of people died in Italy and across the world, so our president won't stay in office. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, but I'm beginning to realize the majority of people are stupid.
Oh, it has been, like I was saying before, I mean, that whole like believing in the greater good of people thing has never, you know, been more of a crock of shit. Like I honestly believe that, you know, a majority of people are good, especially the ones I associate myself with. But it really makes you think that the number of bad people is a lot larger than we think and a lot closer to the number of good people. And I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you have different political opinions or you disagree with me, but the people that are like racist and homophobic and really only give a shit about themselves for whatever reason have to be on that side of politics, you know. So there's a lot of terrible people who happen to be Trump supporters, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, some of them used to be reasonable that I know.
Oh, 100%. It's not a Republican thing. I mean, I was never that much of an anti-George W. guy. I mean, I was younger and less informed and didn't give a shit as much then. But I mean, there's a ton of Republicans who hate Trump. I mean, it's not that's what I hate the most, I think, is when people make it a political thing. It's got to be left versus right or Democrat versus Republican. Maybe it's just you're pro-Trump or you're not, you know? Half the reasons I hate Trump aren't even political or like policy reasons. It's just because of the things the guy says.
Well, I don't like him because he constantly lies.
Oh, he's a compulsive liar, but that's okay for some reason with his supporters.
And the women who accused him are liars.
Oh, of course.
The one who accused.
But can you imagine if Obama, if they proved Trump lies, if they proved Obama lied that much compulsively every day, while he gave a speech or in a tweet, or Obama fired the entire pandemic staff 2 years before a worldwide pandemic, or Obama was accused of being raped and sexually harassed by all these women, they would be talking about hanging him.
He would have been impeached.
Oh my God! It's like the hypocrisy is insane, and it's on both sides. I get it, but the same people that are telling you don't trust government and Whitmer's or your state's government's full of shit if they're a Democrat and don't listen to them, they're all lying, are the same people who think Trump can do no wrong. I honestly don't think there's anything he could do to make the diehard, cult level Trump supporters stop Trumping or stop supporting him. Actually, he could literally fuck a bald eagle to death on live television, and they'd somehow be like, well, that's what I like about him. He does things other people aren't willing to do, and he's not a politician. He's his own man.
I will tell you, I would watch that.
Oh, well, yeah, 100%.
I'd be like, well, he did it.
Like an episode of Family Guy, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I did read yesterday that Trump supporters are leaving him in the Rust Belt because of the way he's handling the virus.
No, well, I mean, I hope so, man. Just like I just brought up, just the fact that he fired an entire pandemic staff has got to be a red flag for some people.
But I bet
he obviously can't control the virus. Nobody can, and it's not his fault. But it is his fault how he's handled things since day one. I mean, for the first few weeks, he was saying it was a hoax and bullshit.
And then he said he always thought it was a pandemic. It's like,
did you?
Yeah. All I know is when I see him doing his rallies, I wish I had that size audience for my comedy.
Oh yeah,
I deserve it.
That size of a dumb audience that will believe everything you say.
Nice. I'd be a superstar by now. I would be.
Yeah.
But man, I do got to wrap this up. Before we go, I am going to actually read you a real Craigslist misconnection. Hopefully, you can crack a joke off of it.
All right.
I did not write this one. It's kind of creepy. It's called Old Babysitter, and it's from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh, boy.
You watched my son for a long time, and I walked in on you one night while using a toy from my drawer. We started experimenting with various toys after, and then I moved away. I'm back and would like more playtime. Are you around?
Wow. The whole misconnection thing in general is so crazy to me. How often does somebody read a misconnection somebody posted and they're like, oh my God, they're talking about me, and then those people meet up? Is that a thing?
I have no idea. Though, I want to know who has a misconnection that is a scene from a porno I have seen at some point.
Yeah, right. It's there's no true love misconnections.
Ooh, I think I know the next one I'm going to write.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, man. I had fun doing this. It was nice chatting with you.
It was awesome. It was really cool meeting you. Hopefully I'll meet you in person.
Yeah, I'd love to meet you in person. Like I said, I'll put in a good word with Garrett to get you on the open mic at Grins. And if you're ever in the Grand Rapids area, you've got a place to stay if you need one, man. Where do you live now?
I live in Livonia, right outside of Detroit.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
The old stopping grounds of fucking kickers and
Of where? Of what?
what was the club there?
It was Joey's. I drive.
Joey's. There you go. Kickers was the sports bar downstairs, but yeah, I did Joey's a few times before that place went under.
I did not live here while Joey's was
Oh, okay.
day. Let me ask you: are you a big fan of Yesterdog?
I enjoy it. I mean, I mostly enjoy it when I've had a few drinks. I don't hate it. I've actually been having a craving for like sloppy hot dogs lately, so I might have to wander over there and get some pretty soon.
I mean, that's one of the only reasons I like doing shows up in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Go there beforehand.
There's another place called the Dog Pit downtown Grand Rapids that's all right hot dogs too. But I like a sloppy chili dog, and you know the celebrities have been in there and taken pictures, and it is. I mean, hot dogs are hot dogs, and they are really good, like bar hot dogs. I do like them.
It's true. Well, man, thank you so much. We have a great show tomorrow. We have Megan Cottington Heath on.
Oh, nice. I'll check that out. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Have a good one.